Hi everyone, I'm Zarah Borja and this is Cyber Singles. Today we're going to talk about the male thing explained. Let's check it out.
Okay, I was a geek in high school. I really didn't know what end was up. And I absolutely fell in love with Joni Hast, who's now Joni Hast Block. I'm still in love with her, and if she sees this, contact me. And in my naivete, I thought that in being a nice guy, I was in love with this girl. Anything she wanted, I wanted to give her. She wanted to go to a restaurant, whatever you want to eat, whatever movie you wanted to see. I was just falling all over myself like a puppy. And when I thought that there was some reciprocity here, she had sent me a note stating she was having a New Year's Eve party, and she even signed it, "Love Joni." I mean, in my demented mind, I thought that means that she really cares about me and this is happening. And so what I did was, in preparation for this, basically cementing the deal with the girl that I'm going to be in love with all my life and marry, I actually did something kind of devious. I went into my garage and went through some stuff that my father had brought back from occupied Japan during World War II. And I found this little statuette. It was jade. It was probably worth a fortune. But I thought, well, since I'm marrying her, it's going to be in the family anyway. So I brought that to give to her as a present. And what happened was that at the end of the evening, everyone had gone. I'm going to stay behind to help her out here. And I gave her this present, and she was so excited, and couldn't be misconstrued, certainly, her feelings. And so I go to kiss her, and I close my eyes, and she gives me a peck on the cheek, not where I was expecting it. And I mean, at that moment, I realized I don't think she cares about me as much as I care about her. And she said, well, I really do, I said, I gushed, I really love you, so forth. She says, well, I do love you too, but more as a friend. And I actually have a boyfriend, it's my brother's best friend, and just kind of ripped out my heart, And I mean, I basically ripped out my own heart because she had never led me on or anything like that. But the bottom line was, it left me kind of with a lot of questions about relationships, because here I was giving her everything I wanted, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't until a little while later when a girl fell in love with me and treated me like she deified me, like I was the god. And I'd say, well, where do you want to go to dinner? Well, anywhere you want to go. It was like the role was reversed. And suddenly I realized that in relationships, if you put someone up on a pedestal, they can only look down on you. There's no respect. If there's eye-to-eye contact and you're equals in the relationship, then you have a real relationship. I also realized that in giving so much, basically it drained energy from the other person. If they have to make all the decisions about what's going to happen, there's no spontaneity, there's no emotional charge. It gets kind of boring when you know ahead of time, well, I guess we're going to go to a Mexican restaurant or whatever. So through that experience, I learned that in relationships, you have to be mildly selfish, even if it isn't that important. And I learned that if I'm going out with a lady, instead of saying wherever you want to go, even though it wasn't that important to me, I would say, would you care to go for Mexican food or Chinese? So there's still a little bit of spontaneity, yet I'm still respecting her choice. And it worked. Suddenly the relationships were more balanced. But what I learned about human relations, and part of it is written in my book, The Male Thing Explained, I learned that, again, in comparing human behavior to animal behavior, again, I've studied this, and throughout my book I do combine different elements. I learned that that while men and women are saying they're really looking for the nice guy, I thought back to high school, the nice guys didn't get the girl, I didn't get the girl. It was the jock, it was the Fonzies riding the motorcycle, the bad guys. And I realized that while we're saying on one level we're looking for nice people, within our very DNA, within our genetics, we're that alpha baboon. The alpha baboon in the troop is not a nice guy, he's kind of a bastard, but he has the biggest harem and he also fathers the more children. And the reason is in nature, survival depends on aggressiveness and having survival skills. The female is going to be attracted to the aggressive male because he's the one that's going to be able to protect her and protect the family. And with the human family within our DNA, that still holds true. Now, it's a little more sophisticated and it's beyond consciousness in a lot of ways. But again, subconsciously or consciously, that girl is attracted to that policeman because that's an authority figure, someone that's going to be able to protect her. Or the guy is attracted to the physical appearance of the girl because on subconscious level she's going to be a good biological fit to nurture his children and so that his family and progeny can survive. So those were some of the lessons that I learned with my early experiences on being on both sides of the end. I have been married once, and my wife passed away. And so I married, I was 39 years old, so I had a lot of years of dating and went through a lot of relationships. And essentially, what's going on today is very similar to what was going on when I was growing up. The human needs are the same between men and women. And again, there's another thing that I say is that the differences between men and women are not as different as we're led to believe. You know, society says, you know, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and they use that as the excuse for bad behavior. But the fact is that we're dealing with cause and effect. Boys growing up in my generation were taught, you know, big boys don't cry, you know. And I was writing about when my pet parakeet died, you know, and I was getting ready to go to school, and I'm looking at little Tweety, and Tweety got puffy and fell off his perch right in front of me and dropped dead. I mean, I was devastated, and I started crying. I was like 25 years old. No, I was like 7 years old, you know, and here I'm, you know, tearing up and crying, and my mother pulls me to her breast and says, "Big boys don't cry." And in my mind, I'm thinking, what is she talking about? I just lost my best friend and buddy, you know, the little creature that I could tell all my secrets to, that I could trust, even though sometimes while he was sitting on my shoulder, he shit on me, you know. I could still, this was my heart. So why is she telling me big boys don't cry? Which set up a dynamic of two things, guilt and shame. The guilt associated with it is that I'm doing something wrong in crying. You know, I'm not supposed to cry when something hurts me. The shame part of it was, shame is who you are. It's an attack on who you are as a person, not what you did. And since I'm crying and I'm supposed to be a big boy, I'm failing at that task of being whom I'm supposed to be. So, anyways, so my thoughts were, you know, were all these, the guilt and shame wrapped up together, plus the grief. And then I say to myself in my mind, well, if big boys aren't supposed to cry, you know, how are we supposed to basically channel these emotions? And the message was, you're supposed to cut yourself off from your feelings and your emotions. And then after that, I was thinking in terms of, I mean, as an adult looking back, I was saying, and what are women's biggest complaints about men? They don't share their feelings, you know. So we're dealing with cause and effect. And again, where I say men and women are not as different as we've been led to believe, what's happened is that I said that, and if women and men were raised more androgynously, would the differences be the same? And the fact is that boys and girls are being raised androgynously, and the differences are not as defined as they were.
Well, there you have it. For further information, check out Dr. Edward Goldstein's book, The Male Thing Explained. Until next time, this was Cyber Singles.